Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Making Mass, a series of curated conversations reflecting on carnival, theatre, and advocacy in Trinidad and Tobago. This program is a collaboration between She-Ride Collective and Brown Cotton Outreach. She-Ride Collective is a Caribbean feminist advocacy network hosting platforms for contemporary literature, visual arts, and outreach is a performance art theatre focusing on meaningful social change through education, film, carnival theatre, and peer mediation. I am Amanda T. MacIntyre. This evening, I am joined by my colleague and friend, Louris Martin Lee Singh. Hi, Louris. How are you?
Hello, I'm here. I'm trying to slow down. You sound so calm and measured, and I'm like, thrilled to be here, collaborating with She-Ride Collective to bring this interesting series of conversations to creatives, non-creatives. We're all creatives everywhere, and I'm just happy to be here with my sister doing cool stuff.
Yes.
So today we have with us one of the creatives who has touched my life over and over and over. And it's not as rude as it sounds. My life, he touched my life, okay? I'm talking, of course, about Mervyn De Goeas. He is one of those mentors who you don't know you're being mentored because you're just feeling like you're getting buff at first.
Yes. Um,
Right? I first encountered Mervyn as a young actress, and he was always where all the cool stuff was happening. I remember they were doing these really interesting shows at Bagshot House, which is now demolished, in the 90s. And Mervyn was directing these, what you call it, the one with Breathe and Waiting for Godot, Beckett.
Samuel Beckett.
Doing these Samuel Beckett kind of pieces there, and I was like, this is so interesting and exciting. And I was relatively new to the theater, and I hadn't seen stuff like that before. And Mervyn is one of those people. Everywhere you go, you meet him. You say, "Oh, let me go to this event." There's Mervyn.
Exactly.
Never lying, always working or just finished working and on his way to somewhere else.
Exactly. I know what you mean because just as you were talking, I remembered about the first time I met Mervyn, which was in my early 20s as well. I had gone to the Trinidad Theatre Workshop on assignment, and he was there in conversation with Derek Walcott and Albert Laveau, like these real. And this guy, Mervyn, seemed to be like a character in his own play. And since then, he's just this person who just keeps coming up again and again and again and again and again. And just so much work with so much breadth and depth that he truly has become one of the most significant contributors to theatre arts in Trinidad and Tobago, I would say.
Yeah, I would really have to agree with you there. I think he was one of the few people I saw when I was coming up that made me realize that you can live full time doing the arts.
Yes.
And that it's so much work, yeah, but it is very worthwhile. So, without much further ado, right, or as we say in fancy circles, without much further ado, right? ADEW. Let's bring him in, Mr. Mervyn De Goeas. Hi, Mervyn.
Hello. Okay. Two corrections. Number one, it was Eric Mitrajan who was doing the Beckett stuff. I can't
Oh,
remember what I was
sorry.
doing, but I knew I was doing stuff. Number two, yes, you can be creative and you can earn a living until a fucking pandemic hits and you're like, hello. I don't know how I survived there. I have no clue how I survived.
Yeah.
With a working credit card. Can you believe that? I was like, how did I do this?
You do it better. You do better than me. Mine gone.
I was waiting, I remember last year, it was like 6 months in the year. And I was like, I'm so waiting for the bank to call me to ask me about a credit card payment so I could laugh for like an hour. But they didn't. They gave us like 9 months, and by which time, I could put a little something on it, and
Yeah.
God, how did I get past that? I don't know. How did any of us get past that? I have no idea.
Yeah.
None.
Well, I know that for myself, it's a constant work of forgiving myself and
Mm-hmm.
recognizing that what's happening and all this economic deprivation that I'm experiencing is not my fault. That
Uh-huh.
there is that it's not because I didn't work hard enough. You know, when you're self-employed, it's always about what did
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
So it's nice to be able to tell myself, this is what it is. You're doing the best that you can,
Yeah.
and it's only going to get better. These are the
Yeah.
things I tell myself. What do you tell yourself, Ruben?
It's always fun and games until a pandemic hits. I don't know what else to say. It's like,
Yeah.
things were
What?
going
What?
so okay-ish,
Yeah.
but whatever, if we leave this situation that we're in right now, having learned nothing, then we didn't deserve to be here in the first place. It's as simple as
Yeah.
that. I
All
have
right.
learned
It
so
came out, it seemed to come
much.
out of nowhere, and then everything
Yeah,
happened really quickly.
yeah, and it it just opened the door to people are really that stupid. My God, I've always said that people are more stupid than you give them credit for. And then this hit, and I was like, okay, I didn't realize that it's like we in it up to here. I thought we like up to here. No, 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 no. We can go under any second now. It's interesting watching democracy being torn apart all over the world.
Mhm.
It's was it like this when the Ottoman Empire imploded?
I
You know,
imagine so, to be quite honest.
yeah.
I think, these systems of government that we have, they're very susceptible.
Hmm.
And with rights come responsibility.
Yes.
So if we want the right of democracy, then we have the responsibility of educating ourselves
Yes.
and of having a good education system,
Which we don't
of
have.
honoring our own history.
Which we don't do.
I mean,
You know.
one of the reasons I was so glad to talk to you today is because I feel that there's a big gap
Uh-huh.
in the 20 years kind of preceding my entry into the creative arts.
Uh-huh.
I kind of came in the mid to late 90s,
Yeah.
when I was very, very, very young.
You tell yourself whatever you need to tell yourself to get through the day. It's okay.
And when I came in,
I support delusion.
right, when I came in, there were all these very interesting artists around. I think that HIV, AIDS, the AIDS pandemic, wiped out a lot of that
Yes, that is a fact.
generation,
That is a fact.
and kind of really just kind of left a big gap there with all those guys
Yeah.
and gals who came out in the 80s,
Hmm.
and of course who didn't die. They left.
Hmm.
So I felt
Yeah.
like there was a big exodus then, kind of like what we're seeing now,
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
to some extent. So, tell me a bit about the early part of your career, that time in Trinidad being an artist.
Well, to begin with, I only really went to one audition in my entire life. Seriously.
Okay.
I didn't even have to audition for the school I went to. Everybody else had to. I didn't. Um, Ellen was doing her Christmas pantomime at the Little Carib Theatre, and a friend of mine, Father Robert, he's now a priest, Father Robert Christo, he called me one Saturday morning and said they're having auditions down at the Little Carib Theatre, and if I want to go, I should go. It's like, for what? Now, when I was living in Toronto, going to school doing design and illustration, I was, one of my roommates was a stage manager, one was a fine artist, and we had a dancer at one point, we had a musician. So it's all that creative energy, and it's like, okay, I can do this. So we had to sing and we had to dance. Um, I never saw myself as a singer, or I've always considered myself a tragedian. Tragedy is
A
You know,
tragedian.
that tragedian is a real word. Look it up.
I'm sure
Um,
it's very good. I have
it is.
misunderstood
Yeah.
before.
It's
I
not
might
a
have seen
comedian.
it.
You know,
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Tragedian. I like
Um,
that.
I have always been that. The world mystifies me. In that there is so much. One thing I learned from the pandemic, and it's I watch a lot of stuff coming out. I've watched a lot of stuff coming out of Spanish-speaking countries, French cinema, uh, Asian cinema, African cinema. We have so much more in common that should be sticking us together, but we're so divided and we don't. It's like Africa is on another planet. Asia is on yet another planet. And no, it's not. Um, I have no interest in visiting the United States. I've been there, done that. I lived in Canada, not all of Canada. I have a cousin that has a farm in Canada. So I want to go there because I have this vision of myself sitting under a cherry tree, just eating cherries until I pop.
So you said you started your creative career in Toronto, going to art
And
school,
going to art school.
right?
So
And then
came back and
Mhm. What was that like?
because
I've heard a lot about that kind of that we get when we go away and study, and
it
then
was
come back.
cold, it was
Yeah,
cold.
it's
What
cold.
else can I say? Coming back to Trinidad was okay. When I was 5 years old, I saw the Sound of Music, a deluxe with Miss Henry from Rosary Boys School.
Mm.
I did not know what it was, but those people all singing together and dancing together, and that was the world that I belonged to.
Mm.
So at age
Miss
5,
Margarita.
I decided this is what I wanted to do. I'm still doing it. So, you know, anytime somebody says, if you were doing what you wanted to do as 5, what would you be? I would be an artist. What are you? An artist. So,
Did you? So when you came here, even though when you got back to Trinidad, you felt that sort of like drop in opportunity, accessibility of creative work.
I no, I was
Did you still
rudderless.
summon
I
that
was
5-year-old energy and say, "Yeah, we're making this happen"? What?
no, I was rudderless. I did not know it. Okay, when they talk about, you will find your tribe and you will this and you. I have never found my tribe. I am tribeless. At the same time, is because I'm on the fringes of this tribe and I'm the fringes of that tribe. I mean, I know, yes, I am a theater artist. Everybody sees that. I'm a director. I'm a whatever. Um, but honestly, within the theater circles, I'm like not the most popular person. I think I'm a little too opinionated. I think I'm a little too honest. I think I'm a little too assholey, and it's sometimes it's just not welcome.
I will admit, moving when I first met you when I was in my teens, I did
You're
I
going
did
to be
think you
8
were
by the time this
assholey. I did.
conversation
I
done.
thought you were so scary and assholey, right?
Mhm,
Until the first time I really heard your feedback to me on something.
mhm,
And that was a point where I started to realize that I wasn't getting this quality of feedback from other people. That what you were
uh-huh,
telling me was constructive, it was actionable, right? It used to bite a little too hard, but it made sense.
uh-huh,
And I started to see that, and that it's only when I kind of started to grow into understanding how valuable that kind of honesty is as an artist.
uh-huh.
So did you get that? So you still feel like an outsider? Is that what you're saying?
I feel kind of like a lone wolf. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. It puts you in a very observational kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
So, even though it was really cool to enter the theater where all the cool kids were, because even in high school, I was always the odd one out because I didn't look like them, I didn't talk like them. Uh, I I was a bit of a cussologist. I used to cuss everybody all
A
the time.
sociologist. I learned so many new words.
Psychologist.
That's
Okay.
what I coined.
Cussology. So this is
OLOGY,
CUSSOLOGY.
Cussology.
Okay.
Yeah. So you see, my dad is a sailor. He was a sea captain, and the first time he heard me cussing down the place, he actually blushed. So yeah, I made a sailor blush. It's like, I'm very proud of that. Yeah. It's a standalone experience. Oh, thank you for spelling it.
But
It-
when you talk about feeling like they didn't look like you, they didn't talk like
mhm.
you. So this was you leaving Trinidad to study in Toronto
Uh-huh, yes.
and feeling that difference in Toronto because it was all these white
Still, yeah, yeah.
Canadian
Eh,
kids,
It's
white
all oh, come
kids.
on, it's the white people. Okay, let's
Yeah,
not even pretend. It was white people.
right.
And I've never been under the delusion that I am, white people. I'm sorry, our family matriarch is a woman from Ghana who was taken to South America in a slave ship. Okay, and her name was Kitty Mundai. We all know that. We don't even know Massa name. We know Massa last name was Buchanan.
Mm.
So, and we have, because I come from a family of storytellers, and the keepers of stories,
Yeah.
they can tell you, okay, and then this one married this one, and that one married that one, and that one, and with the ancestry.com situation that my sister is completely nailing that. We have traced our way. Yes, we definitely came from Ghana, which we knew anyway. Yes, they definitely came from Scotland, which we knew anyway. We found out which part of China my great great grandfather came from. And so I have always celebrated the fact that I'm a mongrel. I've been told, don't say that, don't use that word. It's like, why? Why? What? You see
So
all this
do you feel like
negativity.
Mongrel suggesting what? Hybrid identity?
Mongrel suggesting any kind of shit you just throw together in the pot and you come up with something new. You know, I can say
Mongrel?
in my family we all like each family unit is a
Uh-huh.
one of a kind mixture. So how
Yes.
cool is that? And I think a lot of us especially in the Caribbean, we should look at that and celebrate that. It's not Callaloo. Callaloo is the same shit over and over and over again. Everything is new. Everything is unique. We are a whole different breed of people, and that should be celebrated. You
Well,
know.
I'm glad that you're talking about this because we were wondering about how your race and ethnicity and how you identify in terms of race and ethnicity affected your work in theater and carnival. Could you talk some more about that for us, please?
Well, in theater was a lot of them white people, and them is like okay, whatever. Um, but I theater is broken up into so many different parts, and I have dabbled in Best Village. Best Village is a hot mess. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Um, I have dabbled in like classical forms of theater. I have worked on brand new plays. I have oh my gosh, I've gotten an opportunity to do it all. From Masha Montano's children's show, which that was such a brilliant experience. To the youngest person I ever worked with, she had just turned 5, and the oldest person was I think 83. And as a director, I always, think of my cast as, those are my children. So my oldest child, was 83. He died not too long ago. I have plenty dead children. What can I say? You know,
Mm. Well,
it's a part of life. Don't worry about it.
you talk about this role of mentoring.
Mhm.
Is that something that you like actively decide I'm going to mentor this one or that one, or
No, 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 no,
is
no,
it
no, no.
incidental? How does that occur?
It's, I don't care about popular. I care about good. I want my actors to be good. If they're popular, good for you, icing on the cake. But I want you to be good. I want you to be proud of yourself. I want you to there is a feeling you get when you put down a really, really good performance. Nothing in the world can touch it. Nothing can take that away. And it doesn't matter if, okay, let me give you a story. In 1990, whatever, 94, I think it was, we did a play called The Lady in Question. And in those days, you had theater running from Tuesday to Sunday. It was the Wednesday night. At 8 o'clock, we had not sold a single ticket. Now, it's what I call the Holocaust comedy. One of the few comedies I ever did dealt with the Holocaust. That's what you get for dealing in tragedy. We found the humor in tragedy. And so 8 o'clock, we're still getting dressed, we're still getting ready to go on. I was like, listen, let me tell all you something. If I go outside and there's nobody in the audience, I going home. So I don't enter until 45 minutes into the play. I'm sitting backstage and I start to hear laughter. And not like, six people, tittering. I'm talking about raucous laughter. By the time I go out on stage, there's like 50 people in the audience.
Chinese.
No, the whole German embassy came to see the play. And some Trini, so they were getting something out of that play that we in Trinidad weren't getting out of it.
Of course.
Like when Yvette spoke German, I thought they were going to die because she spoke the worst German in the world.
Yes, remember Yvette?
Yeah. So
What Yvette is this?
Yvette Adams. She died last year, I think.
Yeah.
So
she's an actress.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what happened was because we were so grateful to have people in the audience, those people got the best performance of that play. And I remember, we all came off stage and everybody was like getting the best mood imaginable. It was like, singing and dancing and just having the best time. So I have done plays where the audience is just there. They're like, full to the brim and it's like torture. It's like, can this please end? So I want it to be good. I want to be good. Winning awards, getting good reviews, just, having full houses. I've had all of those things, but when it comes down to, did I pull it off? And if the answer is yes, then yeah, you're good. You're good to go. Nobody can take that away.
I hear you. Do you feel like sorry, go ahead.
You have certainly been pulling it off, Mervyn, because we know that you are the 4-time recipient of the Trinidad and Tobago's Cacique Awards.
5.
So tell us, please.
5. Okay, it's a national record. 5.
5? You see, this is a level of humility because you are sitting here telling us, well, and playing to crowds with only foreigners. Do you feel like your work is misunderstood? And how do you relate, if so, how do you relate this feeling to the rewards?
It's okay, misunderstood. I don't know that it's misunderstood as much as you know what it is? When I used to go to school in Trinidad, in primary school, the teachers had this thing of we don't know what to do with him. Because, he's incredibly bright. He is incredibly lazy. He is incredibly distracted. He's incredibly talkative. I thought school was the most boring thing ever. I feel no ties to my high school. Anytime somebody asks me, where did you go to school? My first answer is always, I went to the National Theatre Institute in Connecticut. Because when I arrived there, I was home. I was like, oh my God, this is it. I am home.
I just want to take a quick moment, guys, just to say hi to some of the people who've joined us already. They're just saying hi, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah. Hi, Zinga.
Hi.
All my friends. Antonil. Hello. And our very own Happy Ford Hobson.
Yeah, I just wanted to, welcome everybody in.
I recognize
This,
almost everybody. Yeah.
so this
We're
lovely
among
opportunity
friends.
to talk to one of my erstwhile mentors who taught me the science of cosmology, right?
Yes, you've yet to
But
graduate, huh?
Mervyn, I wanted to ask you, do you feel like you were mentored by any creatives, and if so, who?
Um, yeah, but it once again it wasn't a deliberate thing. I mean, Ellen was the first. She was the first.
Ellen,
I
Ellen
learned
Cox.
so much from her. In ways that you cannot even begin to imagine.
Mm-hmm.
She's the one who opened the door because I was not the greatest singer in the world. Roger Israel was the musical director of Cinderama, which is the first thing I did. He didn't want me. I wasn't the greatest dancer in the world. Jennifer Charles is the choreographer. She didn't want me. Ellen said, yeah, no, we put him in the chorus. So it was the only time I've ever been in chorus. It was the only audition I ever went to. And it, it I remember being in school and always, telling everybody what to do. But I just thought I was bossy. I did not know I was laying the groundwork for being a director. And speaking of school, Michael Posnick, who was the only teacher who ever told me I have absolutely no talent, is my favorite teacher of all time. And he talked about mentoring somebody. Oh my God, because he saw this creature who was arrogant, who was aggressive, who, you know, was more attitude than talent.
Are you talking about yourself?
Yes, yes. You have
I
to
think he's talking about
jump
all of
high,
us, to be
jump
honest.
high, jump
Because
low.
I was
You have to be
wondering, because
honest
I was
about
like,
yourself.
"Hmm."
No, but he actually used to teach at he used to work at Yale Rep.
Right,
So he took us to he was one of those people who they like took us to see plays. I saw Glenn Close on in Connecticut. Way this was just after she had done the World According to Garp and all of that.
right.
You knew the name. She was an Academy Award nominated actor, but
Mm-hmm.
we did not know she was going to be the force that she was going to become. He had worked with like Sigourney Weaver and Meryl Streep and all of that. And every single class I was in, every acting class, I had one teacher saying, why can't you all be like him? He's good. So you're just like so full of yourself. I arrive in this other class and he asked me one day, why are you wasting the class's time? I was like, this fucker. Yeah. I said, no matter what I
You see your
did,
brilliance?
no matter what I did, it's like, oh, you again. And, it's like, you are not going to break me. You are not going to break me. And I was like, you know what? I am going to go out with a bang. And we rehearsed the big male on male sex scene from Bent.
Mm-hmm.
Me and
The
our
orgasm scene?
yes, our star athlete. I was like, I'm going to pick the guy that all the women want to fuck, and I'm going to do it in front of everybody. And so we just went for it. And when we were done, the class was silent.
Spent.
And he started applauding. And, it was like he made me want to
Mm.
just, you know, show that I can do something. I'm not just, that strange one. So, those are my two major mentors.
Do you feel that that's been your mentoring style?
No, no,
No? What do
I'm
you
not.
feel is your
Let me tell you something.
mentoring mentoring style?
10 out of 9 doctors agree. Trinidadian actors cannot handle Michael Posnick.
Right.
Okay, Michael Posnick was like, you are not going to break me. And he was like, I am going to break the shit out of you. So that is how I deal with myself. That is how, I look at my work and was it good enough? I'm not going to tell anybody, every single thing I've done has been flawless. And no, there have been plays. I remember the last time when I stopped acting was like 1998. I was on stage and, a drama about, beating your child to death accidentally or whatever.
Oops.
And I'm there on stage in the middle of this, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, I went to Hilo today and I forget to get so and so. I'm like, you're not even here. What are you doing on the stage? You need to stop. And so I stopped.
Mm.
But I could at the same time dedicate myself to other things. There is no part of theater that I don't enjoy. I enjoy it to the max. It's the Olivia used to say that if it's the first thing you think about when you wake up in the morning and the last thing you think about before you go to bed at night, then that's what you are.
Which
So I'm like,
Olivia is this?
how many Olivias do I have? You know,
Sir Lawrence.
who else? So I mean, I'm not wanting to like grabbing people's quotes and all of that, but that anytime I doubt myself, yeah, I go back to that. And of course, imagination is more important than knowledge by Einstein.
Mhm.
I live by that because it is true. Without imagination, we're not going to go beyond what we know. Can you
Mhm.
imagine if the world was in the same place as when you were born?
I
Hmm.
don't want to imagine that as a dark skinned black woman, sir.
Well, I don't know what year you were born because now you're like born in the year 2000, if you ask me.
Listen.
Because you keep
So
getting younger by the second.
let me ask you this, moving. We talked a little bit about the beginning of your career, and we
Mhm.
talked a bit about the impact of COVID on creatives and things
Yeah,
like that.
maybe we should go one step at a time because we're all over the place.
Right? What would be your advice, like one or two pieces of advice that you would give to a young creative, an actor, a dancer, a singer, coming out at this time, a designer?
Um, the first thing is number one, I wouldn't give them any advice for a very simple reason. It's you have to be able to handle the truth. You have to be able to handle the truth. It's remember a few good men, you can't handle the truth. I find a lot of people can't handle the truth. It's the okay. Let's take, for example, people going into makeup and they say the one thing that makes me want to smash them in the face, make my nose smaller. How the hell are going to make your big fucking nose smaller? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with your nose? That is what you grew up with. What is wrong with your big lip? That is what you grew up with. There is so much beauty in this world that if we stopped and tried to absorb it, there is beauty in dead white skin, there is beauty in jet black skin, there is beauty in, you know, river mud brown skin. It's Jesus Christ, there's beauty in almond shaped eyes and round eyes. There's beauty. Ugh. But we so stigmatized by, what I call the dwem culture, that dead white European male culture. No, we don't have to look like that. We don't have to move like that. We don't have to be that. We don't have to read them damn books.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know,
still walking
what
around with
what is
suit and tie. Jeez,
yeah.
suit and
You
Dwayne
know,
tie.
Partner.
DWEM, DWEM, dead white European male.
Dwayne.
Why? Why,
Dwayne.
why, why?
Male.
You know,
Just shots after shots today. Cosmology, Dwayne, then
Dwayne.
with European male. I cannot with you, Mr.
it, it's
Moving.
it's
I
Gentlemen, we are
cannot.
taking no prisoners.
well, is it not true? Are we not like we have to look a certain way, and no, we don't. No,
Yeah.
how come nobody from India has ever been on the cover of People magazine's World's Most Beautiful People? Nobody
Mhm.
from China has been on it. Everybody's American. What are you telling me? What are you telling me? Blake Shelton, good looking? That doughy, pudgy looking drop marshmallow? Come
Oh,
on.
Blake.
Come
Blake crying into his frosted flakes all loose.
on. Ay, vey. You know, so
One of
it's, as the children of all of these, I think it's our responsibility to claim that.
yeah,
There's nothing wrong with us. What is wrong with us?
yeah.
They tell you you have to be young. They tell you you have to be light skinned. They tell you you have to have wind that could blow in the, I mean, hair that can blow in the wind. They tell you that, you have to be able to take this and put it on your nose and it's like perfectly straight. All this nonsense. Come on. Come
Well,
on.
but Mervyn, one of the things that I have seen coming up in the arts is that the arts has always been associated with the LGBTQI community.
Hmm.
The arts and pride, they're very intermingled. There is this great sense in the American media as well as all the other media that artists and designers are these, they'll come in and fix your hair and your clothes and make you look nice. And so even while we are not being inclusive as a Caribbean society, we've had a lot of up and down with that. Do you feel that in your role as a creative, as a mentor, that you've advocated for the LGBTQI community?
I have okay, let me lay it out.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever captures my imagination, I go with. I When we did a play called Asses was the first play that dealt with the AIDS epidemic in not only Trinidad, the Caribbean, South America, everywhere. I mean, we won. We came first. That's 1987. And Benny Gomes gave me the play. I read the play and I was like, Benny's obviously trying to get me killed. This is not going to fly. But then I found myself like, 2 in the morning rereading the play. And it was such a powerful piece of theater that I was working with Christine Johnson and I told Christine, I was like, we have to do it. I'm sorry, I don't know, this is just something we have to do. And the interesting thing is the audience is mostly made up of heterosexual people, especially women. Women, I find women are more taken with my work than men. And a lot of queer people just did not show up to see the play. And their explanation was that, I'm living in it and whatever, whatever. So I didn't have the time of day for that. This is stuff that needed to be done. These are things that needed to be talked about. A year after that, we did Extremities, which dealt with rape. And because when I do my work, I do a lot of interpersonal stuff and I would interview people. And I think it was like 50 different women I spoke to when we did the vagina monologues and how they dealt with, all of those situations they were talking about in the play. But in Extremities, every night after the show, we used to go down to the Cricket Wicket pub, which no longer exists. And some woman that I don't even know would approach me and say, you know, can I talk to you? And they would, I was like, my God, every single woman who approaches me, they're telling me something, some trauma that they lived through.
Yeah.
And, I remember the last day of the show, I turned to a friend of mine and I said, the next woman who approaches me to tell me about some rape crisis she went through, I will punch that bitch in the face because I have had it. And then she says to me, but I've wanted to talk to you about this for a while. I was like, what what is going on? You know, obviously there was a need to have this thing spoken about. When we did Asis became AIDS became conversation you had at the dinner table. When we did Extremities, rape became something that you talk about in around the dinner table, around the TV. Suddenly, you found a way to make stuff that when it did M Butterfly, that was the first play really to deal with transgenderism. Many, many moons
Was
after that,
this? Could
M
you repeat the
Butterfly,
name?
M
M
Butterfly, yeah.
Butterfly.
Mhm. I think I have a digital copy of the play somewhere, so I will see. I will see. It's somewhere. God knows
Was
where it is.
there was there ever like a feeling of risk when you were doing these shows, like when you were doing
Yes. When
shows that deal with these topics, AIDS, transgenderism, men coming out as homosexual? Was there like any feeling of like pressure?
the first play I ever directed was the Rocky Horror Show in 1984. I think, that dealt with so much stuff that there was an article in the Express, the Sunday Express, that basically blamed me for all the ills of society. You know, people like me. I was like, okay, whatever. The person who wrote the article, however, we're good friends up to this day. I didn't meet them until afterwards. So it once you launch with that, there is nowhere to go. I could not get a job for like 2 years after that. No, I was
Really?
untouchable. I was that that thing. So going from that and then doing a play about AIDS and faggotry, that whatever, that was a cakewalk. you know Having Cecilia Salazar being raped on stage at the Carib Theater, meh, done worse. So it I once you cast those dice, there is no turning back. So you put yourself in a place where there's nothing you cannot do. But once you begin to realize that, people will talk to you, people you don't know. When we did the Normal Heart was the second play we did about AIDS, but it's from more of a historical perspective. Once again, I go to the Cricket Wicket pub, but I'm meeting Susan Hanez. This is in the afternoon. I can't remember why we were meeting. And she was late. Mind you, she's living spitting distance from there. So late as usual. I cannot stand latecomers. They suck. So I'm there. This group of guys, they arrive, and one of them is like 100 feet tall. If you see the size of this man was like a giant. Like he could crush me, with two fingers. And he comes and he makes a beeline. He comes straight to me, and he says, "You're the one who do that AIDS play." I'm like, okay, you're going to beat me to death. So I'm holding on to the back of the chair now. I'm like, if you try anything, look one chair in your ass. And then I said, yes. And he goes, boy. And then he begins to tell me about his brother, his younger brother who had died from AIDS, and he was gay, and the family was not allowed to talk about him. And then the man started to cry. And, then, this giant is holding on to me and he's sobbing. And at that moment, it hits me that, this is why you do what you do. This is the reason that you have been given the gift of being able to touch people. And yeah, a few times, people have said, they should call the police on us on whatever, whatever. But, let me tell you something. When we did Man Talk, and Man Talk had a lot of cussing and a lot of stuff that dealt with, what men actually go through. It was created by doing interviews. Earl Warner had interviews with different men from all over the Caribbean, and he put together this series of vignettes and monologues and all of that. Every day, Dale Enoch would go on the radio and call for the police to come and arrest us. Every single day. Of
Yeah.
course, I know we're supposed to forget about that and get past it.
Yeah.
Why? We are our own enemy. Why should we get past it? That's just the truth, baby. It happened. That's history.
Do you feel that through your work you have, I mean, because I'm hearing a lot of challenge of the status quo here. I'm hearing that there's public pressure because people are saying, well, you shouldn't be doing this. And I'm also hearing that there's an impact, that people who come to these shows do feel touched, that there is a ripple effect. Are you attracted to projects that have that advocacy aspect, that kind of have a
Um,
positive social change? Or
I'm just drawn to whatever touches my soul. When we did Doubt, I I got the play and I said, okay, what am I doing? I'm tied up.
yes, you're
Um,
kind of yourself.
yes, I heard about this scene in this play. There's this actor, she comes on, and the Viola Davis character, she did it on Broadway too, and she won a Tony Award for this. She's in the play for one scene, and I'm talking about, like, this is like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm laying in bed because I'm not going to read the play until tomorrow. I'm not going to touch the play, but I am so dying of curiosity to find out how powerful could a scene be.
Mhm.
Eventually, it was 2 a.m. I got up. I'm like, I'm going to read the play now. When I got to the scene, it was like being hit by a bolt of lightning.
Yeah.
I was stunned. I was like, good God. I have to get this play. I have to do this play. Ricardo was
Mhm.
producing it, Ricardo Samuel.
What do
And
you have a checklist of things that hit you in your soul? Like eh, what is it? Makes you
no,
say what is the thing?
I have no checklist. When we did Master Harold and the Boys, okay, because I kind of came to consciousness in the 1980s, and
Mhm.
apartheid in South Africa was huge. Now, I will tell anybody, I do not understand racism. I don't get it. I don't get how one person has decided that this group of people is better than that. It makes no sense whatsoever. So apartheid, which I learned years after, I keep continuing to learn, was even more horrendous than I imagined it was.
Mhm.
So Austin Forsythe, who used to run the Little Carib Theater, and he had produced the play, and he said he wants to produce this play and he wants me to direct it. I was like, okay, let me read the play. I read the play, and when I closed the play, I was like, okay, I have to do this. I have to do this because it's basically about a black man who kind of raised a little white boy, and at the end of the play, the little white boy turns around and spits in his face, and it oh my god, you have to read that play. I don't have a copy of it, but you have to read that
Yeah,
play. It
I'll look it up.
breaks your heart
Yeah.
to to even that moment. I remember every single night when Kirk, who is one of the sweetest people you ever know,
Who's
and
this?
Christopher Shepard, Kirk Collins, and
Right.
Christopher Shepard, another one of the sweetest people you will ever know.
Is it that?
Mm.
So when Kirk spits in his face, the entire audience was like, every single night.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's how we disassociate from that as theater people, because you do what you have to do. And it's can you imagine somebody coming up to you and slapping you in the face? No, but you're on stage and somebody has to slap you in the face every night. Yeah. So it's we are really, really odd. So,
Even
but to
touching.
get back to the point, it's
Mhm.
what attracts me, the human condition attracts me.
Right.
So yeah.
So you're touching on utilizing theater as psychosocial intervention and also the importance of representation. Is this part of the intention when you set out to do your work, or is this something you recognize in retrospect?
I think my main point in life
Mhm.
is telling everybody there is nothing wrong with you. Whatever you've done, whatever you feel, somebody's been there. Somebody's gone through it. And there is just nothing wrong with you. Stop stop listening to there's so much bullshit just hanging in the air. Why am I kind of off the screen? Okay. um, from organized religion to politics, especially the politics of race and class. Um, and everything, when you look at advertising, all advertising does is say there is something wrong with you.
Buy this.
Yeah, your skin is not good enough, your hair is not shiny enough, your nose too big, your ass too flat. Nobody's out there saying, I remember when I was living in Toronto, the one thing I took away from Toronto is there was a news station a news program on a station. And every night they had an episode of something called Good News, where they just tell you something good. We don't get that. I
Mm.
am so sick and tired of addicted to it, which is horrible.
Like the
But
rest of us, right?
politics, I'm addicted to politics, but I want to stop. I need to go into rehab. I can't take it.
Yeah.
It's tell us something good. For once, tell us something good.
Yeah.
You,
What do you think has been some of the specific challenges of producing the kind of work you produce in Trinidad? Because I don't see it as commercial
it's not.
in intention or outcome. No, it's
Ah,
intended.
yeah, it's not. It's just not. It's
Yeah.
I've never been a populist. I have been popular. I've been kind of famous. I've been, but that has never been the aim. I like where I am in terms of I am still reachable and approachable. If you know, please don't do it. But if you were to message me on Facebook or WhatsApp or whatever, I do respond.
Yeah.
90% of the time.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
if you start saying things like "sweetie" and oh, stop it, oh, just no, we're not that. We're not
Mm.
anything.
So,
So,
yeah, what's been hard about that? Because we see the so-called commercial theater,
mm,
where it's focused on comedy, farces, things like
mm,
that, and then you do Equus. Let's
mm,
say a few years ago,
mm.
Equus is not, like all the kids ain't going and looking at Equus.
Yeah.
Why are you not chasing the market, so to speak? You know?
Um. Okay. My career has been in stages. There's
Yeah.
Act One, Act Two, Act Three. I am now at the doors of Act Three. Act One was being young and you buy into the whole celebrity thing
Mm,
where you think you're validated by people knowing who you are. And it that was really, really weird because I was like all over the newspapers, I was all over TV. I was, they don't know who I am, they know I'm controversial. That is all they know.
mm,
And I remember the day I cashed that reality check. I was standing in front of Express House because I had an interview to go to. So I'm there, and I used to hate shoes. So I would drive the car without shoes and then getting out of the car, then you put on your shoes as you're stepping out onto the road. And this woman across the road looks at me, and we had just done As Is. I had just played the gay character with AIDS, and it was a huge deal. It was, the hit of the year. It was covered in all the media. My face was all over the place. And she looks at me and she goes, "Oh my God, look, 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 look." And then she yells at the top of her lungs, "It's the faggot from the thing." So I was like,
Mhm.
okay, reality check written. So, you know, I've always known that, I was a commodity. As an actor, you're a commodity. That's what you are. So that was the whole of Act One, is just, dealing with that. At the end of that, I didn't want to be a celebrity. I didn't want people to know who I was. I've been followed in a pharmacy already, and I've had people call me out of the blue, and it's no, I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. So the second part was more serious in terms of like, this is what I do. This is, you make your living however else you make your living. Sometimes you get lucky and you have a hit show. Sometimes you have a decent job that pays you a shit ton of money. And so, it's somewhere in between there. But this is my art. This is what I do. Art doesn't always pay. Look at Vincent Van Gogh. I'm not saying that I'm a Van Gogh, but look at him. Sell one painting. Come on. Yeah.
well, at least we're here with all our ears, right? That's a good thing.
And you know what? It there's an ebb and flow to everything.
Yeah.
So one minute, the 80s were insanely good to me. The 90s were shit. The noughts were insanely good to me. The teens were shit. The 20s was on the launch pad,
Well,
and then I get hit. But you
yeah,
know what? It ain't done.
Yeah.
And because we have filmed stuff in the pandemic, I have figured out so much, and I'm like, oh my god, I can do this, I can do that, and for me, my future is online.
Yeah. Well,
That I want to do a web series. That's the next thing I want to do.
could you tell us just a little bit more about your online work? I remember being so inspired last year when
Hmm.
I went online and I see the scrubbing baby
Uh-huh.
coming out shortly. I was like, what? Yeah,
Well,
this is amazing. How did you come up with that idea? How did you make it happen? As we're talking, I may share some scenes from the show as we're talking. Eh? So,
well, we had so many restrictions. No more than 5 people could be in a location at one time. Um, everybody was stuck. Everybody was stuck, including me. And I was like, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Then I I'm play it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
no,
ahead.
go ahead. I'm not playing it loud. I'm just like playing a little bit as we're talking. Please continue. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So I ask people, you want to do this? It's my usual gang of, my usual gang of friends that let's do this. Let's do something. Let's, So what we ended up doing is we shot every character at a different location. Um, because it's like Sean is shooting Paula. I called Paula to ask her something, and she's like, "I don't care what you're doing. I'm doing the makeup." Um, Tanya Evans was, our production manager. So it's that little group plus one actor. So
Yes.
every one of them, they're acting opposite me. So what we did was like, you okay, between every line there is a space so that when we edit it, you can chop me out completely. And
Yes.
it sitting in editing, I was so amazed at how you can manipulate a performance that you everybody's in a different room. Everybody's in a different house. It's sometimes a different neighborhood. And I haven't been able to watch it recently because Anthony, who we shot at his house, he died, last year.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so it's like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm being haunted by death, my new best friend.
This is Anthony Badida.
Yes. So it it's just the other day, and all of a sudden it's like, there we are being taken back in time. And
Yeah.
so it's really, really interesting to have done that, which is an experimental piece. And I would call people and say, just 2 lines, whatever. And everybody was very, very supportive.
Yes.
And I think I got like one no, one
Okay.
straight up no. And I learned so much from doing that that I'm going to take it and I'm going to carry it forward with me. And as I say, you learn to manipulate a performance because
Yes.
one of the things I insist on when we on stage is in natural conversation, you don't wait for somebody to stop talking before you talk. We
Yeah.
talk over each other constantly. Now we're doing that, and it's like, okay, after every line, you need a pause. So nobody talks over, but you could get into editing, and all of a sudden, you just put them one on top of the other. So
Yes.
it's that was a surreal experience. I enjoyed every second of it.
Like
Um,
unnatural, creating unnatural naturalness.
Yes, yes. And at that point, my credit card was unpaid for months, so I didn't even have money to publicize the damn thing.
Yeah.
So, but
Well, I
I
wanted to talk.
going from that to the future, yes, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask about money.
Mm.
Where do you get money to do your productions? Like, how does that happen?
Um, luck, I guess. um, I actually haven't produced the majority of stuff I've been working on for like the last almost 20 years. Producers would approach me, or a producer I'm working with would, they would go and get the money, and they do it. And I have been blessed many times over, and I am thinking and plotting of ways, that I can get them to not buy into the future that I want, as much as to get what they deserve off of what I'm working on. So let me get back to something I was talking about. I have observed that in Asia, Thailand especially, I'm going to learn to speak Thai next year, by the way. Um, they have gone past TV stations. Their stuff is now premiering on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
They're heavily advertised. Now, how is this possible for them to pay for that? And it's possible because everything is, they're not sponsored, they're advertised within. So it's very bizarre that they'd be in the middle of an argument and then they would take up a bottle of Oishi and drink it and they'd go, oh, so refreshing, and then get back to the fight.
Yeah.
It's, they're finding new ways to expand. This is not like China where the government just, pays for everything. It's, they they are nailing it. Where, yeah, sometimes it's awkward when somebody takes up a bottle and they go, and look, it has added vitamin C. So good, you know. But you're looking at it and you're thinking, ah. Now I'm a writer, I'm a director, I'm an art director, I'm a costumer. I have so many job titles. Now, when we did Scrubbing Bench, remember, it's a team of four. So all
Mm,
of a sudden, it's like, we don't need that, and we don't need that, and we don't need 500 people running around on set. We
mm,
can keep this as small and workable as possible.
minimal.
Everybody's there for a reason.
Mm,
Then there's no situation where you're like, who is that person and what are they doing? So that is one major takeaway I get from the whole COVID-19 experience.
Yeah.
mm.
That
A
we
lean canvas.
well, when I work in the theater, it's, yes, I know they look kind of, costly, but they're not. Our
Mm,
set for Master Harold and the Boys, which, it was an incredible set. It was an incredible set. The set cost $500. How is that possible? $500 is what it costs to get the wood, and for Cyrus Sylvester to pay the guy, whoever put it up. We got the paint sponsored, where we begged for it. I hate, we got it sponsored. No, we went and we begged for the paint. And they're
There's
like,
nothing
that's the
to
only color we have. So, okay, good. I'll take it. Um, we used stuff from our house. We went to, somebody said, so and so have some really good vintage doors. We borrowed the doors. We borrowed the windows. We borrowed, what is the name of that company who, Chinese name? They have woodwork and they do drawers and cupboards and
young
whatever.
sing.
Young Sing, Young Sing loaned us
Young
the
sing, young
counter.
sing.
We went to somebody and said, we need an old timey cash register. We borrowed
Mm,
that. We got every single thing borrowed, and you can get anything borrowed as long as you return it in good condition. You do that,
yeah.
and they will lend you again, and they will lend you again, and they will lend you again. So I've never had problems with that. One time I went to Royal Castle and told them I need a hot dog every night for every performance. So there we were picking up our hot dog every single night. Your name is in the program saying thank you very much. It's, you learn to beg in so many different ways. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't nailed how to beg for money. I am, typical middle class bullshit. I am so embarrassed begging for money. It's humiliating when they say
It's
go away,
hard.
but I can beg for anything else. I've had, mailing do stuff for us without, any pressure of, oh God, I hope, very welcoming. And for this reason and this reason alone is why I feel the need to help this one and help that one and help the other one. And, it's all good and well if it's like, an exchange of whatever. But I've helped people, and when it's time, I'm looking for help, and they're like, they just pretend you don't exist.
Who
It's
are
like,
you?
yes,
You
yes,
have moving. You don't need. You
yeah.
have.
So all I do, and it's something I've done since the beginning of my life,
Yeah.
you cease to exist, which
Yeah.
people don't understand. You cease to exist. You, you, you know how nasty it is. I actually keep you as a friend on Facebook, but I just, you're still on my WhatsApp,
Yeah.
and you can still send messages. You cease to exist.
But I'm hearing so many useful strategies.
No, don't be
Like,
that vicious,
no,
bitch.
that's a very useful strategy. I mean, what I'm hearing is I'm hearing how to get the things that you need,
Yeah,
recognizing, and that you're saying too that COVID helped you recognize how much that I last year when
mhm,
I
yeah,
it helps you figure out sort of like how little you needed
yeah.
and how much you can do with that little,
Yeah, well,
and also yeah,
in the theater, I direct, I costume, I work on sets. Now I'm no carpenter, so I have to get a set builder to come in, but I will design the set.
yeah,
I will work in, painting the set. I
see,
will, I will make costumes. I will, anything that, because I have limited money.
yeah,
I need, and I've worked box office, I've designed tickets, I've designed programs, I've sold tickets and programs, I've done publicity, I have set up photo shoots, I've done makeup for photo shoots. I, every single thing that you can imagine, I cannot light a show for the love of God. I cannot do it.
I
And
hear you.
I keep telling people that, and Francis Lewis was our lighting designer, and he's like, everybody has to learn. Hannah, I was like on crack when I did, one show. I lit the show, and it's like, light there, light where. First, like, I have no talent for this. I just going to, what does this button do? Bam. Oh, I guess it lights the other set.
Well,
So,
I'm hearing you say that it's important to learn as much
yes,
of the different skills that are
yes,
needed to
uh-huh,
make the production happen, but also to recognize your limitations. You
yes.
can't do
Yes.
everything, but what
But,
you
but
can do and save yourself the money.
no,
Yeah?
but you see, what happens there is, especially when you work in film and television, there is a divide between the actors and the crew.
Sure.
The crew, they and Daniel Defendala taught me that they're there all the time. They are, so when the actors come in and getting on like they're the shit cake, it's like, hello, you ain't gonna be here tomorrow,
Yeah, you're a small
Yeah,
part of this.
yes, yes, we don't need to be your friend, okay? We don't have to play with you. So it's you could take a big swollen head and you could go to hell. Basically, that's how it, and that's just a reality. The crew is as important as the actor. What can you do without a crew? An actor without a crew, without a script, is what? You
Yeah.
know, is a homeless person with no point to life.
Well,
That is what it is.
one of the things that you were saying that was really exciting to me because I really am on board with it 100% and I want to see where it goes is sort of like what I see as the newfound power of the content creator
Hmm.
because at the end of the day, the history of programming, television, radio, all of that is about delivering advertising.
Yes.
Now we have ad blockers. We have, I can't tell you the last time I see an ad on even when I go on a rewind and I watch my Judge Judy as fast forward through the
Uh-huh.
ads, right? I don't watch anything live and I have ad blocker. So this
Uh-huh.
idea of embedding the product placement into the content, as you
Hmm.
say, you're walking along and you're refreshing,
Yeah.
it can be awkward You know,
You
it
know
can
what?
be
The
different.
last thing I saw was, they opened a
Yeah.
bottle of Oishi and it's like, so fresh.
I feel, I
Okay.
feel, I feel like this relationship, because I think it's as Frankenstein as it is, putting ads and product placement into your dream and your idea and your
Mm.
show. I do think it is the way forward, and I feel like it's something that could happen maybe a little more organically and less awkward.
Well,
What are your
you see,
thoughts on that?
no, I am looking at how they're doing it and I am learning from that.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, and let's be honest. They're paying the bills. They
mm,
are paying the bills. And if your show is so shit that the only thing people walk away remembering is the ad, then maybe you need to not be in this business. Okay? We also have to serve another master, and the master is the one who's paying the bills. If you want to get the show free on YouTube, I look, if I was to go through an advertising agency or to go through a TV station, every stop that money makes, somebody has to get a cut
Taking a
in it.
little bit, yeah.
And
mhm.
so, the world is being reinvented thanks to the pandemic.
Yeah.
We are seeing things we have never seen before. Carib Brewery put out a music video, so
That is
it,
true. I forgot about that.
I know, which means it's not really working because people are forgetting about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's simply
Oh,
because you don't have people there holding the Carib nonstop, just going, oh my God, this is like the best thing I've ever had in my life.
mm,
Hmm.
Now, I don't drink alcohol, but I
Yeah.
will tell anybody I used to, when I used to drink alcohol at every Carnival Tuesday, it was the only day in the year I used to drink. And I used to stand up and wait for a cold Carib. That was, it was something I waited a whole year for. Like now,
Mm.
once a year, I go to Burger King and I get a fish sandwich. I don't eat fast food, but once a year, earlier this year, I said, wait, no, I missed out in 2020. Well, too bad.
did you get two this year?
No, no, a rule is a rule. You're allowed one a year. If you miss the year, that's on you.
Do
You know.
you?
Mervyn,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Amanda.
you mentioned earlier Anthony Medina.
Mm.
Now, in recent years, we have had so many deaths in the
Ah,
art network in Trinidad and Tobago, specifically in theatre. We've witnessed a generational shift. How do you feel having said goodbye to so many of your contemporaries, and what do you think about the new generation of theatre practitioners that occupy those offices?
okay, let me begin with my relationship with death. It's a story I've told on a few occasions. It's usually how I begin a talk anytime I begin.
Mm,
My mother was 8 months pregnant when my cousin died. And he was 19. He died the Friday before I was born. And she was at the funeral when she went into labor,
mm,
okay, in the cemetery. Since then, Death and I have had a swimming relationship. I lived through the AIDS pandemic. This ain't my first pandemic. I lived through that. I have always known that death is a natural part of life. I don't believe in the whole heaven and hell thing. I think, once again, that is dead white European males trying to scare us into being good little Negroes, mulattoes, Asians, whatever they want to call us. I think that is oppression talk. I don't know. Number one, I don't think that we're coming back here. There is a whole big universe out there to be explored. We are so arrogant that we human beings think that, we are the be all and the end all. Okay? So I think it would be great if we have like adventures afterwards, that this is just one episode of a million episodes. However, if we're just going to go and die and be like when you're asleep, what you going to do? We're not going to know anyway. I mean, you don't know what happened when you're sleeping. You ever had a really deep sleep and you wake up going, "What the hell was that about?" So it's like that. We don't know. We don't know what happens to the soul. We don't know if the soul is a real thing. Um, if there is a thing such as reincarnation, I really don't want to come back here. I had a ball. I had the best time ever. And I always tell people, this is like being at a party. You know, when you're at a party and it's 2 a.m. and you know shit about to hit the fan, it's
Exactly.
like, all of a sudden, all the fun people are gone and it's the people who are looking to have sex with strangers are still there. It's like, I need to go home now. Um, so for me,
Oh,
it's
God.
after midnight. It's not 1 a.m. yet, but it's after midnight, and I'm seeing 2 a.m. coming. It's like, oh shit. Um, so I've had like the best party ever. I have enjoyed my life. I've enjoyed being alive. Every single day, almost, I look up at the sky and say, "Thank God for this." Everything is. Oh my God, my life is so wonderful. It's you know what is fun too when you're watching stuff online. You remember the days of like Globe and all of that,
Yes.
where there'll be somebody talking back to the screen. I'm
Yeah.
my own Globe friend. I'm like yelling. I'm like, oh, Right now I'm watching Remember You on Netflix, and today, well, yes, this morning because I was like too tired last night. I was like, I ain't watching that. There was a huge reveal, and I'm like, spinning in the chair, you know. So it's learning to keep your own company, which the pandemic has just nailed for me. I really, really enjoy my own company. I enjoy people's company still, but I really enjoy my own company. Um, I, oh God, like, wow. I look at people and I think, why are you not living? Why are you not living? Why are you thinking about shit that's going to happen in the next 10 years or after you're dead or we are here. This is now. This is every single day is this amazing thing. Are you going to be the eternal victim? Are you going to find a way out of your bullshit? You know what it is. I remember I had written something and I showed it to a friend of mine and she said, I am honestly offended. And I
Mhm.
said, okay. And then she goes, no, no, I'm really offended. I'm like, yeah, I don't care. So, no, she's like telling me like I don't understand it. She's offended. Yeah, offended. Okay, I don't care. Whatever. That's your business. So when people say, I'm so proud of you, it's like, so, Diane doing nothing for me.
Well,
You know,
Mervyn, let me say that I really appreciate your perspective. I feel like I'm hearing my brain talking to myself here. And one of the
Well,
things
my
you,
brain does that too, but it says it loudly. This is me. This is me watching something online. Yeah? You hear that? What do you think of deaf? No, seriously, you heard that? Yes, I love it. I'm going to just replay it now. It's
so
we're two of the same.
do you feel like you enjoy your own company more now than you
Love.
did?
No, no, no. Let me tell you something. I was one of those people who, in angsty teenage, I would have been a goth if that was a thing when I was a teenager.
Ah,
Angsty for days. Um, and into my 20s, it's like, oh, I had to feel all the pain in the world and I'm depressed and I'm whatever, whatever, whatever. It's like when I turned 30, I was in New York City when I turned 30. I was walking over the 59th Street Bridge, which is one of my favorite places in the whole of the United States, if not the whole of the world, is one of my favorite places. Just you're standing over the Hudson River, it's just a huge drop into nothingness. And I'm standing there and I'm, just me and the night sky of New York City. And it's silence and there's a breeze blowing. And there's no place in Trinidad like that where you're just high above everything. And I'm thinking, if you were to throw yourself off this bridge right here, right now, you know that nobody's going to miss you. It's just going to be nothing. And then I asked myself, what do you want? What do you want in life? And the answer came to me so quickly. I want to be happy.
Mm.
And no, I did not become happy the next day or the day after. I then began to realize you have to work for this. And slowly, bit by bit, I built up my self-confidence. I built my brain. I rewired everything. I am one of the happiest people that you will ever meet in your life, which is why it's like, when people say, oh, you're so scary, it's like, okay, boo, I guess. I don't know. It's, I know that I won't always be happy. And
Mm.
I know I won't, nothing is going to last forever. But I would say 9 out of 10 times, I am one of the happiest people you'll ever meet. This is
Mm.
why I get along so well with children, because I
Mm.
think children see past the bullshit.
Mm.
And, I make myself very clear. I don't believe in hitting children. I think it should be against the law to hit a child
It
because,
is.
Agreed.
pick on somebody your own size.
Agreed.
Mhm.
Okay. If you use a big woman and you want to hit somebody, just grab the first man who passes on the road and punch him in the face.
Oh
Take your
God.
risk, bitch. Take it. So it's I number one, I'm not better than anybody and I'm not worse off than anybody.
Yeah.
It is, you, you see that thing where, people look at each other and, well, at least I ain't that. At least I ain't, you know, instead of saying there, but for the grace of God, it's all the luck of the draw, you know, who is born into the royal family. And well, I tell you, if you're born into the royal family, you fucking
Pressure.
ugly. No, you're ugly. Let's be as shallow as possible.
Well, I
And
think one
Let's
of the
you're
just.
things
rich,
that I
but
really
Lord, you have to walk
oh, go
around with
ahead, go
that
ahead.
face. Oy. Uh,
But Mervyn, you have reminded me of a curiosity about the 1980s,
uh-huh.
especially in terms of the impact of AIDS at that time,
Uh-huh.
not just on the wider society of Trinidad and Tobago, but specifically on theatre. And yet, when I listen to people who were very present at that time, like Raymond Chukong used to say this,
Uh-huh.
for example, the reflection about working at that time seems to be a joyous reflection as well. Can you
It
tell
was
us
it was
about
it
your
was
experience?
a high point for art in the country.
Mm-hmm.
There was a celebration of usness, because it wasn't just like milling and um, Claudia Peggers. It was, the cloth, who was Jeffrey Sanford. There was Christopher Pinero and his stuff. There was the no, the village. Jeffrey was the village. The cloth also came up at that time. And they used to have this fashion show called The Rage, with all these unknown
Mm.
designers would come. Um, it was a huge time for like new photographers from Abigail to Mark Lindsay, and everybody had a different vision, and it was a magical time. So
Mm.
in the midst of all the death and the all the
Loss.
bullshit that was going down, 1990 was a huge turning point, and I think who was it? It was Hal Graves who told me that. The late Hal Graves. Everybody I know dead. Oh well.
Mm.
I'll see them on the other side, I guess. But he was talking about the impact of 1990, which 1990 was when the gun became so ubiquitous, I guess, where poor people realized that rich people afraid gun.
The
And if I point a gun at
transformative
you,
coup.
so then the country needed to laugh. We were
Mm.
so traumatized by 1990
Yes.
that they needed to laugh, and they needed to laugh at mindless shit. And this is when, Raymond came to the rescue. And
Mm.
I've told him this, before, that, yeah, that was what the country needed. The country didn't need me at that point saying, what was that song? They come in any windows, they're raping your white women. They didn't need me with that shit. So it that is how they served, and that is how the arts served the country at that time. That is not my gig. No, I'm like the king of trauma, you know.
If you don't
So
have no trauma, you don't want it.
yeah, and you know what they say that the tears of a clown, on every clown
Yeah.
there is somebody crying on the inside. I'm the
Yeah.
complete opposite because I'm like all the stress and trauma on the outside, and inside I am so shit happy, just having a good old.
What
So
do you want your audiences to feel when they leave your shows?
I don't know. I want them to feel. That is
You
all.
just
I
want
just
them to
want them to
feel.
feel.
Yeah.
And you let me tell you something. There is no feeling you will ever have that compares to an entire audience sobbing. It only happened in one production I was an actor in, and it was the Normal Heart. There is a scene when one of the boyfriends, is he has HIV and he's eating all this shit, and the other one who just gets thrown off of his job at the gay men's health crisis, he comes home and he sees it. And it was years later I realized that there is a pattern to every, they say you play the same character over and over again. But
Mm.
that is so true because I always played that character who was so strong and so resilient. And the play goes and goes until he breaks. And when he breaks, kind of like me and Michael Posnick, that is when he comes to his own sensibility
Mm.
and starts to rebuild that foundation that has been put in place now. So that moment when the character broke in the Normal Heart was played in the audience because in those days the Carib they had that space out front that you actually played in the pit. And on the opening night, I'm talking about people just sobbing because it was hosted by the AIDS Foundation. It was called in those days,
Mm.
and everybody in the audience you had to pay. I can't remember how much the tickets cost, but it was an expensive ticket, and everybody in the audience was affected by AIDS, HIV.
Mm.
So when the grand breaking of the character happened, oh my God, people were sobbing. They were shamelessly sobbing. And because we played in the pit, the light was also on the audience. So you could see it. You are so powerful in that moment when you connect to your audience on that level. And there is in Man Talk, Act One ends when Blood Roberts does a whole monologue about raping a child. The audience was silent when the curtain closed. And those are the moments when you feel the power of this is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
This is, you know, look, I tell people a fat man fall down in the road, everybody laugh. You know how much work it takes to make everybody cry? Oh, hell. No, come
Things you
on.
have to do to that same man.
Yes, you know what you have to do to the fat man to make everybody cry? So the whole argument of which is harder, comedy or tragedy. Um, yeah, go ahead, make me cry. Let me see. Play that card.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you a bit about your makeup work.
Ah,
My darling husband Wayne and yourself
yeah.
have worked together on and off over the
For
years,
30
and
years. Isn't
yeah,
that sad? It's like,
it's so funny.
I'm 100 years old.
And one of the things I'm always struck by is the potency of your images, the work that your makeup. Like, what inspires this part of your work? Because you seem to be just every so often you're like, oh, I'm gonna do a shoot, and it's another amazing
Mhm.
image. What
Um,
inspires this?
I am at heart a fine artist. I'm not a
Mm.
makeup artist. I don't call myself a makeup artist. I've never called myself a makeup artist. I paint faces. And it's just I paint on people.
Yeah.
It's an honor to paint on people, to let people say, okay, whatever shit you're coming with, I'll go along with it. So it's you have these thoughts, you have these ideas that okay, maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should do
Yeah.
the other. This was when we did the, it's something we used to do called acting up, which was for Pride Month,
Yes.
and this is when we dealt with theater. Well, the first year was theater through, queer theater in Trinidad and Tobago, and then the second year we did it queer film and television. And then the last one we did, which was not this year, was last year, was theater in the time of COVID.
Mm.
So it, I needed to represent. I knew that I was going to do the colors of the rainbow flag. What do I do with it? I don't know. I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I can make him melt. I can put him in drag and make him melt. And then somebody says to me, oh, do you know the pictures when he was crying, the rainbow colors? I was like, crying? What the hell are you talking about? You're not
That's like a
crying.
whole.
He melting. That queen is melting, honey. So, it's I don't know. I wake up one day and I have a brilliant idea. And I'm like, this is me. I never have a good idea. It's always a brilliant idea.
Right.
So I had a brilliant idea. What can I say? And I look forward to what the next step is. And it's that I am fascinated by all of this, all of this online stuff that we're doing. Here we are, three of us, just chilling in our own houses. You know, it's what is that about? Oh, that was another brilliant idea I had. I wonder if I could paint with my left hand, which and what do I do if I learn to paint with my left hand? This is
I
what I
love
do.
these.
So it's also something I thought I should do to other people, but whatever. It was a brilliant idea. I tried it. Okay, good. Moving right along. So,
What's with the eyes? Do I notice you have a recurring theme with the eyes on the closed lids?
um, it,
Tell us, great artist, what does it mean?
well,
Mhm.
it's, you know what it is? Getting people to, when you're in front of a camera, it's always about the connection between you and the lens.
Hmm.
But what if we shut down that connection? What happens? Because there is
Mm,
no lens now for you to look into. The photographer has to build everything. So it's
yeah,
all on him. And the photographer is the one who says, do this, do that, do the other. I kind of stay out.
yeah,
So it's just raising a bar because they always told me, it's so weird, it's so odd. You have your eyes closed and this and that and that and that. I'm like, just do it. And then when I painted on my hands to do it, I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I have to trust people now 100%. It's actually a brilliant trust exercise. So
mhm,
that was just one day me going, I wonder what would happen if I. And so
yeah,
because I don't really, I have paper, I have paints, I have everything, but I'm not drawn to painting on paper right now. And maybe it will hit me like a truck one day, but it hasn't for a while.
mhm.
It's I really like painting on people. I
Mhm.
don't know why it's the mass in me once again, which we haven't even talked about. But
Yes, we do.
Well, that's a good place for us to go to. Let's start talking about mass. Um, so the 1980s, Carnival in the 1980s, and Carnival now. What are
uh,
your thoughts?
well, I can go even further back than that.
Mm-hmm.
When I was three, I think it was, my mom told me that Jab Jab grabbed me out of her hands and ran down the street with me, and it was them and the police and everybody following, and he was having a good time, and that is my mass debut. You
Hmm.
know, it's like, okay, my mother went into labor in a cemetery, and the first time I had anything to do with mass was some Jab Jab grabbing me and running down the road with me as a child. So I grew up I was fascinated by mass. I
Mm-hmm.
just it was the most amazing and beautiful thing I ever saw. And then
Literally
one
party.
year, everybody was sick in the house except me. And the woman next door took me to downtown Port of Spain. And I had never seen mass like this before. We're right up here. And suddenly, you get this image when you see the kings and the queens crossing the stage,
Yes.
and they're like the most beautiful people you've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Lord Jesus, they are not the most beautiful people I've ever seen. Some of them downright busted.
When you're
And
close.
yeah, so it's like distance lens enchantment.
Ah.
So you know what it is to see Indian mass and just be like awestruck, and then you see it up close, and you're just like, what the shit is this? It's so different, and but you also get to see other things. You get to see the dragon crossing the canal because the dragon has this fear of water, and all the imps, around him. It was a surreal experience. All the pretty mass became shit. All the shit mass became theater. The dragons, the baby dolls, the bookman, the imps, everything just took on a whole nother level and a whole nother meaning. I I I was in Disneyland. I've never been to Disneyland. I don't need to go to Disneyland. You know, I've done that.
Yeah.
And then every year you play mass, whatever. And then after we did as is, Mr. Minchell came backstage. That is in there I met Mr. Minchell. I'd met him before, but he didn't know because we used to work at the Leon Mass camp. And and I only told him this story year before last. We were in high school, and we wanted to play mass, but we had no money. So we went down to the mass camp and we started to work. And that was the year they were producing Paradise Lost. So I was the same size as the queen. And they built the queen costume on me because, she's the fucking queen, You just some little plebeian from high school. So you could take the weight. And so there he was, and in my little child's eye, this was a celebrity. This was the first celebrity I ever met. um I can remember meeting Minchell. I can remember meeting Sparrow, meeting Kitchener. Oh my god, meeting Stalin. It's like, up to now, I can't believe
Legends.
Chalky just talked to me. And then I look at, when I ran into Michelle Pfeiffer, and the first thing that crossed my mind was, this is the whitest woman I've ever seen in my life. And when I met Morgan Freeman, and I'm like, it's very nice to meet you, because I had nothing else to say to him. Why not say to him,
Mhm.
you exist in a whole another world that I had nothing to do with. So the, I was lucky that I was of that generation. We grew up with celebrities like Alison Hennessy and
Wow.
Community Dateline and Dominic
Mm-hmm.
Kalipasad. And, we had our own celebrities. And by the time I began, meeting celebrities, the only celebrity that really, really, really just flat out knocked me out was meeting Gregory Hines.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I fucking met Gregory Hines. Oh my God. I don't think I will ever get past that in my life. Gregory Hines is one of the greatest tap dancers in the history of the world. And we, our school was invited to see him on Broadway in Sophisticated Ladies. And then after the show, they asked us to stay, and he came to talk to us. To begin with, I'm like, oh my God, Gregory Hines is going to come and talk to us. Then, in the middle of the talk, he says, does anybody here tap dance? Every finger pointed at me. And he said, good, you come and sit next to me. I have no idea what happened after that because I spent 20 minutes in heaven. So that is the only celebrity that I was like, Yeah.
Were
So
you
how
big?
was it, meeting Gregory Hines? I don't know.
What year was this?
This is 1982.
Wow.
You
And here we
know,
are in 2021, and you still have this post Gregory Hines glow
oh
going
my God,
on.
it's fucking Gregory Hines. What is wrong with you? You know, the only thing missing is him handing me 10 commandments. You know, it's like, oh, come on, Gregory Hines. What is, I can tell you up to like last month, I was on YouTube watching Gregory Hines. What is I think the name of the movie is Tap. Gregory Hines, Sammy Davis Jr. All oh my God, oh
Gosh, there
my
was
God.
one with him and Mikhail Baryshnikov.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Love
That's
it,
a
love
Oh,
it,
very
love it.
famous one. Yeah, that's a
Yes,
famous,
White
famous
Knights.
one.
Yeah,
White
White Knights.
Knight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, just call it. I saw it. I saw it.
Mhm.
It's
You
just,
you were you were you were telling us, Movin, that Peter Minshall was the first celebrity you met, and
uh-huh.
that was kind of part of your entry into the carnival sort of
No,
like
okay,
world.
good. Yes. So we work backstage, we work on mass, whatever. So Dennis James, who used to style hair and help with all the styling of our photo shoots and all of that, he invited Mr. Mitchell to see As Is. So there I am, getting out of I wore this big night dress thing, at the end of the play. And I'm taking it off, and the door opens, and Mr. Mincher walks into the room. And I mean, it was no Gregory Hines, but it's as close as you get. Okay? This is one of the great artists in history. And he is telling me that he enjoyed the show, and I have no idea. Once again, I am completely zoned out because you're here meeting one of the most important people you will ever meet in your life. And I am painfully aware of this. Then I get a call later that year, I think it was, or the next year. He invites me over to Diwali.
Mm.
And, you know, okay, everybody having Diwali down in the country or whatever. There, I'm in Woodbrook having Diwali. And that was such an awkward meeting because I had this tam, this woolen tam, and it was in a mess. So I had it there to clean, and then he called at the last minute, and I'm like, my hair was like in knots and like in a big mess. So I'm like, okay, I'll just wear the tam. The tam smell and stink. So I throw it into the dryer with one of those downy things,
Mhm.
and I
Of
put it
course.
on and I go down the road, and it's smelling good. But as the night goes on, I'm beginning to smell it. I'm very aware of smells. So I'm like, I have got to leave. I have got to find an excuse before people start looking at me like, what, you have a dead dog on your head? So it's,
Sorry for the switchback.
and he is telling me, yeah, it's doing a pumpkin on me. It's turning back from a
I was
carriage
just
into a
thinking this
pumpkin.
sounds like a Cinderella story.
So he is there and he's telling me, that the next band he's doing is this Santimanity, and he
Mhm.
wants me to do a section. So I'm like, look, I'm starting to smell stink. Okay, I need to get the hell out. Whatever. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll do it. I'll
Yeah,
do
you
it. I'll do it.
focus.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to begin, drawing flies in a minute. So I agree to do whatever he wants me to do because I mean it's Mr. Minchell. Come on, he presents this thing where it's a bunch of stick figures, and he says, you just go and you get whatever, and you get this, and you get that, and you get the other. I have no idea what I'm doing. This has never stopped me in my life. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I am doing it. Do you know I began writing? I went into Dominic Aliprasad to complain about whoever was doing the theater articles, and I said they're all horrible. And he
Yeah.
said,
Mm.
if you think you can do better, why don't you do it? And I said, I will. And then I wrote for the Guardian for a few months.
That's a
After
good life
going,
lesson right
yeah,
there.
but after going downstairs and going, I have no idea what I'm going to do. Same thing with Danielle DeFantala and Westwood Park. I was like, I hate the script. She's like, well, if you could do it, why you don't do it? And I was like, I think I will. And you figure it out as you go along. Now, I did, one of my writing lecturers at school was Ernest Thompson, who wrote and won an Oscar for On Golden Pond. So at least I had an idea of what I was doing.
Yeah.
So
What do you think fueled that kind of, because I in that I hear what they call, I guess, creative confidence.
uh,
That sense of,
Confidence.
even if
Hmm.
I have not done this before, it can be done.
Yeah.
Where do you think you got that sense of creative confidence from?
of creative arrogance. Um, it's like cooking.
This is
And
gonna
what I
be.
mean by that is I look at what I have and I think, well, if that idiot could do it, that's how it is. You know,
Mhm.
that man, that woman has got the IQ of a fish, and they could cook. If they could cook, I could do it.
So
You know,
bad mind is what I hear.
confidence. I have confidence in me.
Creative. You change it to creative bad mind.
No, well, you see, the thing
Mm.
is because I have to be honest with myself,
Yeah.
and if I cook something and it tastes bad, I will be the one to tell you it tastes bad. If
Hmm.
I've made costumes and I'm like, well, I'd be embarrassed if I did that. Oh yes, I
Hmm.
did. Okay, I'm embarrassed.
Hmm.
Um, it's when you do somebody's makeup well, and you're like, yeah, that looking good, and when you do shit,
Hmm.
you have to deal with it. My one, I said it already. I'm going to say it again. Honesty, honesty, honesty. That that is what I love about children. When children have that moment that everybody's like, "Oh, that I'm so embarrassed," because they have no filter. They have so what? So what? You know, they if you smell and stink, a child will tell you smell and stink, which I love that about them. So I mean, I'm not going to say that, eh?
Yeah.
I've said it already. I already said it as a joke. I tell somebody, "Oh God, go outside, may you smell and stink," and she went outside. I thought
That's
it was
me.
hilarious. I thought it was hilarious,
What
and I was like, "You
um
taking me on?"
what are some of the works, productions, carnival collaborations that you feel most proud of?
Um,
That you
there
look
was a
back and you go,
costume we
yeah,
did.
hell yeah.
There's a costume we did called Icarus Ascending that I did with
Hmm.
Earl Thompson. Oh,
Icarus ascending.
ascending, yes, and the
Mm.
wings could actually move, and it was all based on the story of Icarus.
From
And he
Greek
flew too close
mythology.
to the sun. Yes.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God, I didn't care if we came last. I had
Yeah.
no problem with. I love that costume. It was. Um, I think it's in some museum somewhere in the world.
Yeah.
They
Ooh,
Earl gave it away. So
to
it
preserve it.
yes, and it has been in Paris. It has paraded in Copenhagen. It's
Mm.
been it's been to places I've never been, and
Yeah.
so and I was very very happy with that. The first king costume I ever designed was a costume called Man, which was a beautiful design, very badly made, very badly made, um, on everybody's part. Shalini Siraram did the painting, and it was one of the most beautiful things you will ever see.
Mm.
I did a children's costume called the Glowworm when Alison Brown and Deborah Bartlett had their band. It was so cool. We were actually, it was the first time a 5-year-old got a prize at the carnival.
Kiddies?
Yes, the CDC, I guess
Yeah.
it used to be in
It's
those
carnival
days.
competition, yeah.
Yes. So it was the youngest person ever to get a prize. And I love those. But as much as I'm a part of mass and I will do this and I will do that and I'll do the other, I don't know that that's my calling. It's not my calling.
Yeah, I was
But
gonna
I
ask
will
you,
dabble. I will
yeah,
dabble.
you sound more like a designer and conceptual artist who designs carnival rather than a carnival designer.
Yes, I enjoy um, costuming that is more. Well, last year, was it last year? Whenever we had that artist challenge, where you'd have to show 10 pieces of your work.
Oh, I remember that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, those are the things that I like. I like what I like about cinema and film and even theater sometimes is when you I always believe that your work needs to be something that you could look at like this close.
Mm.
What Mailing calls museum pieces, which she told me already. She's like, what is all this museum stuff about? Nobody's seeing that. I'm
Mhm.
seeing it. The actor is seeing it. It's
Mm-hmm.
if you get a chance to watch Jesus, it's all 36 episodes of Word of Honor on Netflix. They took like half the budget and put it in costuming.
Mhm.
Everything is that, like 80% of the costumes like pure silk. Well, it's shot in China. You
Yeah.
know, it's the costuming is so incredible. The art direction. It it took me going visiting YouTube to look at one of the documentaries and talk about they use the same settings over and over again, and I'm like, they did. So
You
it's
didn't
like
even notice.
I didn't even notice that because it's so well done. And it's like,
Yeah.
so here they are down by the river again, and it's just from another angle. And, but direction, when I watch, I can call Bram Stoker's Dracula, I can watch that with the sound off. When I see the 1974 version of The Great Gatsby,
Mm-hmm.
everything is so incredibly beautifully done. Brokeback Mountain, the palette is unbelievable. The cinematography is shockingly good. The assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Frost,
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
incredible. Get Out. Oh my God! When I saw Get Out, I was like, this is a freaking masterpiece. I could watch that with the sound off. The
Mm.
costume designer tells the entire story
Yes.
without, you know, it when after you watch it and you say, "Oh my God, she did this and she did that and she laid out the whole story, Blades of Glory,
Yeah.
silly comedy. The costuming is so insanely good. So I believe that a costumer and an art director should also be helping to tell the story, whatever
Mm-hmm.
emotion they evoke in you. This is why I love lighting designers
Yeah.
because I can't afford in the beginning the sets I wanted to use. So we would say, set it in light and let the light. I was very lucky that I started with Benny Gomes,
Mm-hmm.
and then I moved on to Ken Joseph. So these are all phenomenal lighting designers.
Yeah, boy. Ken, I know Ken well.
Yeah.
Real good. Real
And,
interesting.
I mean, Benny has lit Tina Turner live. Come on.
Mm.
That's big. He gets a Christmas card from Tina Turner
What?
every year. You ever hear shit, so?
That is very cool. We
Yeah.
we just have a few minutes left.
Mhm.
And this has gone like so fast. I can't believe it. I'm like, what
I
already?
can't believe we're there already. What's the time
I
now?
know.
It's
But
3 minutes to 6
It's
p.m.
what?
two
Three
minutes.
minutes to 6 p.m. Atlantic
Oy
Standard
vey.
Time.
Oh
What
dear.
what
Okay.
I wanted to last question I have for you, Moving, is just to find out what is next for you. What are we looking out for you? Productions in 2022. What's your what are you
I
doing
want
for us?
okay, right now I'm working with Danielle DeFantala on Plain Sight, which is her
Right?
crime drama series that is, taking its own sweet time, but whatever,
It looks
you
exciting.
you,
I
you,
took
you
a look
can't
at
rush
it before.
anything. Um, I'm also doing the Christmas thing with Lydians, which I'd say it's fun to be among people again. So those are in the right here and the right now. Of course, I'm doing my own art that is for me and for whatever. I have, of course, our annual dance competition in Atlanta, which, you know, one year we actually won an award for costuming. It's the first time a solo artist ever won. So I was like, yay. And you know what was a really, really funny story? We had talked about it for years that we're going to do a three-dimensional costume. So we do it with like flowers, and you buy flowers and you take it apart and you put it back together. You create your own flowers. And we did this whole thing, and then COVID came and take a giant shit on us because they canceled all the competitions. The
Hmm.
next year, everybody copied the costume. So It's like, well, COVID took another shit on us.
Oh no,
So
they got ahead of you.
yeah, so it's like whatever. We move past that. We don't forget that. We don't want to do that anyway. So I forget what I'm talking about. I got sidetracked.
Your projects, upcoming
Oh
projects.
yes, yes. But the thing I want to sink my heart and soul into is I want to work on my web series. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know anything. I'm at the very beginning. I'm doing all my research, and I'm highly entertained right now. I have a couple of writers, who I'm talking to because of the specifics of what I want to do in terms of the history of the stories and all of that. Um, of course, you will hear about that sooner or later because I know you're going to tap your husband in that anyway. Um, and,
He is very happy to
but
join.
what is one thing I also want to say? When you work with people you like, I did
Mhm.
one show which was like a bunch of A-listers, and I hated every minute of it. I hated all of them. Um, I working with unknowns, up and comers, of as that has always been such a huge, huge, huge appeal. It has always held a huge appeal to me. My students from UTT, I still work with them up to now,
Yeah.
and people I have known and I'm happy around, and even though Wayne has some of the worst jokes in history.
The worst.
And there are times I want to go, that is not a joke as much as it's a sentence. Okay? You need to
Tell him.
stop.
Tell him.
Yeah, I'm tired. I'm
Take
tired.
note for stand-up comedy.
So, Mervyn,
Uh,
as we close off, to young artists, what is something to keep in mind?
be honest. Deal with yourself honestly. Don't, when we did M Butterfly got rave reviews. M Butterfly was sold out every night. And it was the first play to win the Casika Award for best production, and I hated it. I hated it, hated it, hated it. Raymond won best actor, and no, just no. And it's because I could not. There was something I couldn't nail. I didn't know what the missing ingredient was, and it all had to do with me
Mm.
because about a year or so later, I was in New York and the TV was on in the background, PBS was on, and they were interviewing these actors. I wasn't paying attention. But then I began hearing these lines, and I looked at it, and it's John Lithgow and some woman, and they're doing this play, and I'm recognizing the lines, and where do I know this play from? And then I realized it's M. Butterfly. And then I saw what was wrong. What was wrong was that Biddy Wong was a woman. Raymond was a guy in drag. And the character, it's like when you see, well, back then, the crying game, when people didn't know it was a man.
Yeah.
And he was like the heart and soul of femininity. So, that's on me. That's on me completely. That, I didn't take him on that journey, and it was good enough. But good enough is not good, in my opinion. Those are that's what I said for myself. You know, it's you have to know you have to be honest with yourself, and if you're not honest with yourself, it's 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 the end of you.
Yeah.
There is nothing wrong with saying, "Well, I screwed the pooch," when you have. There is nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that. Everybody is going to mess up at some point. There is nothing wrong with saying, "Good job." You know, you did that better than anybody else has ever done that in history. There is nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You know, you, You see that fake humility bullshit? I don't buy into that. Am I a good director? No, I'm not a good director. I'm the best. Fuck everybody. That's the way it goes. That's
Yeah.
the card that I've been dealt. I've been dealt the ace of every fucking thing. Okay?
Except
Am I?
lighting design.
Except lighting.
What? No, 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 no. That is a crash and burn. Okay. Um,
See, very honest.
you have to know your strengths. You have to know your weaknesses. You have to know when you fail. You If you're not honest, you will never make a difference
Yeah.
in this world. It's that is why anytime people say that a child is saying things that they're not supposed to say, and I don't know what to do with this child. No, that child need an amen. You
Mm-hmm.
know, be honest. Stop taking us to church and then bringing us home and telling us how to break the Ten Commandments.
Yeah.
Thou shalt not lie. No, this is how you lie.
Yeah.
Really? No. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. You know when you've done well. And this is not something to keep to yourself. This is something you just tell people. You know, it I don't go around telling people, well, you suck, even if I feel it.
Yes.
But that's not my business. If
Yeah.
you ask
Good
me,
job.
and I have been asked, what did you think of it? Now the response is, do you want me to tell you what you want to hear, or do you want to hear what I thought of it?
Yeah.
There is a difference.
Yeah.
Okay. I did It's my responsibility if somebody does an incredible job to tell them. It's not going to take anything away from me. It's not going to hurt me in any way. It's you know it, it's sometimes you look at an actor who has given a performance, and you don't know what to say, because they have taken you from here to God knows where, and they haven't even brought you back. They just left you bastardy in space. And then you go to see something that everybody is standing up and applauding, and you're like, what shit is this?
Yeah.
What absolute garbage is this?
Yeah.
So if the crowd says, you see, that is the other thing, huh? You see it all the time online now. The crowd has decided that we're not doing this. So, it's like the Dave Chappelle thing. I haven't even
Yeah.
seen the Dave Chappelle shows yet. I will see it when I'm in the mood. You know, Squid Game. I haven't seen Squid Game as yet.
Yeah.
Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Um, I haven't seen Nomadland. I'm not even interested. But I have seen I Told Sunset About You, which
Mm.
nobody knows about, which features one of the greatest performances I have ever seen in my life. I've seen War Witch from, it's a Canadian film that they shot in Africa. Oh my God, this little girl is so good. Oh, Jesus Lord, she is insanely good. Um,
What
it's,
I'm
it's,
what I'm what I'm
don't
what
follow
I'm
the crowd.
hearing.
The crowd is
Yeah.
doing shit.
Yeah. What I'm hearing, moving, is I'm hearing you say, be honest. Try
Yes.
to decolonize your palette a bit.
Yes.
Watch other things. Don't just watch
Yes.
what you're force fed. Look at other
Yes.
things. Open
Have
your
your
mind to other
own
things.
opinions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and hold to that opinion. If everybody around you standing up and applauding for something you think is shit, sit down and say, no, this is shit, and I'm going to stand up and applaud with everybody
Let me
else.
tell you,
That's
one
so
of the,
tough, though. That's tough.
yeah, but before we go, one of the things I learned, the first lesson I learned with the pandemic was I kind of came off of Instagram because I realized very quickly that I was posting pictures of, this is the new reality. This is the truth. This is what we're dealing with. That did not go over well,
Mhm.
Mm.
you know, because that was a bit too much reality. But I was fine with it. I have not stopped taking pictures of the new world we live in.
Yeah,
Somebody has to do it.
yeah,
Corpus Christi, I went down into Port of Spain. We had until 10 o'clock to get back to home. I went to take pictures of a deserted Port of Spain. It's the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life.
yeah,
And but you have those what I call keyboard warriors. They're always online, and they're always making some statement. You know, the hashtag this, hashtag that, hashtag the other. I realized within a week that the social justice warriors were being very quiet. And then they would pop up with things like, I'm so tired, I'm so this. And it's like, oh my God, y'all are going and taking other people's opinions and selling it as your own. Now that we're all flung into this world by ourselves, each one an individual, where do I get my opinions? Where do I get my truths? Where do I get my realness? Because your realness is fucking fakeness. So if you don't have that,
Yeah,
what are you going to do?
yeah,
What the hell are you going to do?
yeah.
So don't come
Value
back
that.
at me now. And look, I don't need 8,000 likes to validate myself.
Mm-hmm.
No, honey. This mongrel done been validated a long time ago.
Which
Okay?
reminds me of the line from much, much, much earlier in this episode that you
Oh
said,
dear. Oh
I
dear.
don't care about popular, I care about good.
Amen.
Amen.
On that note, I
Yes, I know.
will
Shut up.
I
As
will call a close because we will go on and on. Amanda, you're gonna take us out?
Yes, so this evening we just want to express to you, Mervyn, our deep gratitude and what an honor it is to have you as our very first guest.
Thank you.
Mass. Thanks to my dear colleague, dear friend, Louris Martin Singh. Thanks to all the wonderful people joining us tonight, all the people who sent private messages,
Yes.
all the
We
people
didn't get
who,
any questions. We didn't get a single question. What
We
is up
didn't
with
get
that?
any
well,
questions, but we got some great comments.
exactly. If
I
you
can
see
share a
the
few of them
wonderful
really,
comments,
really quickly. But people, they said things like, this talk is a true treasure of memories and interesting perspectives of life and art, and the most unique terminologies. Passology is a hit.
yeah, we had Peter
Theodora Moving
Samuel, we had
always
Peter
tells it
Samuel
like it is.
here, we had Lasana Libbard here, we had Alan Vaughan here, Roberta Clark was here. It was a really great lineup.
Oh, but
Wonderful,
can I just
wonderful.
add one thing? Um, I'm always on the lookout for people who are new to this whole theater, film, whatever, whatever. Do not be afraid to approach me online. Um, you can send me a message. Yeah, I will respond. I will answer your questions. Don't, don't be too lovey-dovey and all of that, because I'll block your ass. Okay? Yeah. I,
And on
I,
that
I am
loving note,
I
I'm
am
gonna
gentle
quote
and
you
hostile.
tomorrow on that. I'm gonna quote you tomorrow for sure. Don't be
But
too lovey-dovey. I will
you
block your ass.
you sent me questions already about like costuming and creating and all of that, and I just
Yes,
answer it. So
exactly.
definitely.
it,
Exactly.
I
but I'm always
suspect
on the
you'll be
lookout.
getting a lot
I
more.
I want to work with artists who you know I love artists. I love artists. I love them, love them, love them. It doesn't matter, if your art is shit, which, we all have a
Sometimes
level, we all have a level of shit
And
out there.
sometimes your art is in fact shit.
Yeah, yeah, I could show you some, I don't want to, but I could show you. I'm not
so
going
guys,
to. I could.
let me close it off. Mervyn, thank you so much. Mervyn is available. If you're making good art, reach out to him. If you need some help, support, advice, I am planning to have something coming up. I'll call him Mervyn.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, guys.
Coming
We
to look free in 2022.
all right, guys. We're
Yeah.
off.
Now, see me run into hiding now.
Thanks. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye and have a good night,
Bye.
Okay,
everyone.
Bye
bye.
everyone.